the counties. Now, we got functions that were devolved, and with it came human resource. We also found human resource of the counties from the county authorities. Now, the challenge, like in this past financial year, if I could explain, the amount of money that the counties were given in additional revenue was less for most counties than that which would be required to just factor in basic requirements of law in terms of increases of salary, annual increases of salaries. And we raised it when we were coming to the Senate to look for the resources. So of course, if you do that 2-3 times, you will find that all counties then will end up spending a lot more than the 30%. So it is the only way to get the counties to have their 30% or less in recurrent expenditure, especially in human resource, is to increase the allocation that you're giving to the counties. But if you keep the allocation at a lower pace than the increase in recurrent expenditure, both when you factor inflation and they factor increased taxes, like right now we have increased taxes, and then you factor increased salary increment but that are mandatory by law, you will find that over the years, the cost of recurrent expenditure for counties will exceed the 30% threshold.
Chair, maybe before you give, and maybe he could also help you, because I know he's a finance person, because from your answer, what you are saying is actually not factual. You have said that what has been used to deny counties more revenue is how much government is borrowing. Well, the excuse that you may put it.
That is the excuse that the national government gives us when they are doing the current.
And I'm saying because your vice chair is a finance person, he knows that is not factual. What is factual is that is not borrowing, is debt financing. And it is also a fact, the Controller of Budget just released a report last week, but one, saying that we have now surpassed the 1 trillion mark in debt financing. And that is what has a bearing as to how much money then is available to the counties. The other thing that is factual, true, the cost of living is going up and inflation and all that, and wages will definitely go up. And I would want to hear from you, where is a place for own source revenue for county governments? Because we are now all competing for resources at the center, but we never hear any governor or even the council speak about own source revenue. And I believe the spirit of devolution was also to encourage counties even to compete amongst themselves in raising revenue. Part of the other reason, Governor, Chairperson, why counties are finding themselves in problems is unrealistic estimates of your own source of revenue. And you end up with very many pending bills. I'll give you a case example of a county that I know that the last financial year they raised about 2.1 billion shillings, and they have now estimated for the next financial year that they will raise 7.9 billion. And they will go ahead and procure and incur pending bills. Then that drives the demand for more resources more than probably the other issues of inflation and all that. Because if you have to factor in inflation, the other thing that is factual, and I say this with all due respect to the council, because I have sat in parliament as a chair of the budget and appropriations committee. Part of what is factored, and I'm certain even Senator Aaron or Senator Mugani would have bear me witness, the cost of inflation is always factored. Always.
Yeah.
So that's why I challenge you that on that particular aspect, what you are telling us is not factual.
I actually beg to differ, because you know very well that as much as we raise revenue in the country, sometimes we also borrow to pay debts. We borrow from A to pay B, or we roll over our maturities and use maybe domestic and convert one borrowing to pay another debt, and that happens, and it is normal in all counties. So I think we can't assume, if you look at how much money that the country collects vis-a-vis how much money that we're spending in development and how much we're paying in debt, you will see that what I'm telling you is factual. The second thing is, even in the national government, they have never achieved 100% of their revenue collection target. half the time, and I come from a background of treasury. I was there for over 15 years. In all those 15 years,